Welcome to Fluent and Chill. I'm Anthony K of Sports Fluent. I'm here with my man from Chilltown Hoops, Jermaine. Jay, how you doing, man?
Yo, what up? Football. Let's do it.
NFL edition of Fluent and Chill. And I got to tell you, I'm angry.
Wow.
I'm angry.
What's up, Tone?
How many chances? You know I'm never angry. You know I'm never angry. So when I say I'm angry, it's how many chances does Urban Meyer get? Why does he get so many chances? I go back to his time in college where he didn't have the best character guys on his team. Now, I'm all for giving chances. I'm all for, rehabilitation and the benefit of the doubt. But people can't keep doing stuff and not have to pay the consequences of it. I get it. You made a mistake and you did X. But if you do X, then you have to pay Y. So all through his college, he does that. Then he gets his job with the Jags, which I don't think he was qualified for. Like, not qualified. He was qualified for. I just don't think they should have gave it to him. There was better coaches they could have given to. And what does he do? He tries to bring in a trainer who, for all intensive purposes, is not a good guy, has made racial slurs, and he's trying to bring him in, just kind of slide him in the back door. They tell him, nope, can't do that. Then he brings in Tim Tebow. Listen, I love Tim Tebow. He was a great college. Their friends are. He's not a tight end. Sorry. He's also had more than enough chances in football, in baseball, in broadcasting. I don't think he's hurting, and I get it. They cut him, which we knew he was going to cut. We knew it was for publicity. We knew all the reasons to bring him into Jacksonville. But there's guys who probably deserve it more. That might have actually, let's be honest, we knew Tim Tebow wasn't making the team as a tight end. But there might have been a diamond in the rough that they could have given that opportunity to that might have done something, whether it was special teams or broken the lineup. You don't know. And now he's losing, which we knew was going to happen. We knew with that team they were going to lose.
Correct.
They have a surprise diamond in the rough running back in James Robinson, undrafted, plays phenomenal. And what do they use their first round pick on? Another running back who now is hurt, is not playing. They start 0-4. They're told that, hey, he says, every week in the NFL is like playing Alabama. Man, you played the Jets. You played like you didn't even play. Like, I don't even know. You played Houston. Like, you didn't play. You're not playing Tampa Bay or the Rams, or the Chiefs. You're not even playing the elite teams. And you're saying it's every week's like Alabama. And then what does he do? He goes out in public and acts a fool. When I was playing, I remember my coaches telling me, nothing good happens after midnight. That applies to coaches as well. So it's just like, and yet he's still there. And I don't know if you remember this. I'm going to find the tape because it can't be that long ago. Remember I told you Urban Meyer won't last the season in Jacksonville?
I do. I do.
You kind of remember that? I'm going to flash it up. I'm going to show everybody because we'll have a little flashback moment. I told you he wouldn't last the year in Jacksonville, and I don't think he is.
I remember saying something like that. I do remember that.
If he loses this week, I would not be surprised if he gets fired.
Well,
so I want your thoughts. I know that's a lot to take in. I want your thoughts on that.
Well, first of all, the deal is for 7 years at $35 million. So they're not eating $28 million.
There is a morality clause in his contract.
Correct.
And what he did could justify. They could say, hey, we're going to pay you nothing, but here, we'll give you a little bit, go away.
Right. Here's the question, though. What did he do wrong in terms of morale? He didn't do anything illegal. He didn't get arrested, right? He didn't do anything. There were consenting adults here. Now, he might have done something boneheadish, which I'm going to get to that in a minute. He might have done something boneheadish, but it wasn't illegal. So in terms of
morality, he's married.
He is. That's correct.
He was
that is correct.
Fraternizing with a very young lady. Yeah, and all the jokes aside, that was not Trevor Lawrence, although they have the same hair.
Yeah, that was not Trevor Lawrence. No, that was not. So when you talk about this sort of thing, the first thing I'm thinking about is the good old boys club. And what I mean when I say that is these people who look after each other, So it's basically the recycling of bad coaches and the recycling of bad behavior. If I do something wrong, it's no big deal. I'm going to end up getting fired here, but I'll be hired here. If I'm a bad coach and I've been a bad coach at this university, or I've been a bad coach at this NBA or professional football team, I'm here for 2 years. Somebody else is going to hire me in another year or so. And it's essentially the recycling, not of bad coaching, not just of bad behavior, but just of being it's a bad organization all the way around. And that bothers me. But the thing that I'm thinking about the most when I think about this whole thing, well, first of all, he didn't even fly back with the team, which isn't unusual. All right, that's not something that's not unusual, because guys will do that. It's a Thursday night game. Tone is from Los Angeles, and
Sure.
we just played the Rams, and we going back to Tampa, and Tone says, "Hey, I was wondering if I can hang out, and I'll be back to practice on Tuesday." So, all right, that's not a big deal. The question that I'd like to know is, who are his handlers? Because the first thing I'm thinking with this whole situation is, this girl, she's not some random girl who just walked up to him and started dancing. I think that at the bare minimum, he knows her.
Of course.
He absolutely knows her. Now, is there something going on between them two? Well, that remains to be seen. But at the bare minimum, he knows her. However, if I am a high-profile individual and I am in a restaurant, which I own, and a 20-something-year-old young lady comes up and starts dancing on me like I'm a senior in college, that's not happening, because my friends who are also involved in what I'm doing are going to shut that down. Whoa, we're not doing that. No. We have to stop that, because we are in the age of exposure. Everybody has a camera. Everybody sees everything. So there's certain things that you can and cannot do. Not to mention, I'm not coaching in college anymore, right? I'm not coaching young, impressionable men who just got out of high school. I'm coaching grown-ups. I'm coaching men with wives, with kids. And I have to keep the respect of these people. Well, it's pretty difficult for me to do that, doing what I just did. Now the question is, with Urban Meyer, the organization says, quote, he has to regain our respect and trust. Tone, let me ask you a question. You work in a bank. You work around the money. You end up stealing the money. Is the bank going to say, well, you have to regain our respect and trust again? No, you are fired.
Fired.
On the
And
spot.
that's my point. That's my point.
You are fired, because that's part of the job. We do respect you. We do trust you. And when that's gone, and when if he's gonna lose that football team, they already, I think
He's lost it. I think he's already lost the players.
I think they've lost their last 19 straight games, something like that. And it's not going to get, I don't think it's going to get any better, considering that this weekend, let's see here. This weekend they have Tennessee, who I think that they're going to lose to. I think that Tennessee is going to beat them. And it's something that is going to continue. And Urban Meyer, who hasn't had a history of losing, I mean, he won at Ohio State. He won at the University of Utah. He won at Florida. He won at Bowling Green. So he has had a history of winning. He comes to the NFL, and this is not the same thing as college, not even close. Some guys have to understand where their niche is. Nick Saban figured that out real quick. He went to the Miami Dolphins, and he was like, you know what? The pro game ain't for me. The pro game is not for me. I am a college football coach. This is where I'm going to stay. And how'd that turn out for him? That turned out pretty good.
It turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we know this. When you get to recruit your players from the pool of every single player, it's a different game than having to talk contracts and free agency and draft, and you don't get to pick. You don't get to pick. Hey, there's the top 100. Yeah, I get 20 of them. No, that's not how it works. You might have one of them if you're lucky. And when you go into a team like the Jags, you've got some holes to fill. That's why they're not a good team right now. The other thing is, the thing that makes coaches, you touched on so many things there. One, being a professional. You're a professional. And some people say, what did he do really that was wrong? He went out to a bar and some girl danced on him. Yep. For the regular everyday, sure. However, sorry, you're a public figure. You're a professional. You are held, I'm sorry, to a higher standard. If you don't like it, don't become famous, right? Like I've always told people, I want to be rich. I don't want to be famous. I don't want anyone. Because it's not the same thing. I'd rather have all the money and no one know me versus everybody know me and I have no money. if I have to pick between the two. So there's a different level of responsibility when you're on the public eye. 2, to be a successful coach or a successful player, you have to have a certain level of ego. And I get that. Here's the problem. And this is a lot of NFL players face, NBA players face, and coaches coming from college face. You've never failed. You've always been successful. And now you come into a place where you're no longer the best athlete. You're no longer the bigger, the strongest, the fastest, and your team's always winning. It's just not the case anymore. And I used to do, I don't know if I've told you this before, prior to Sports Fluent, I did a show called Sports Psych. I minored in psychology. I brought in, a bunch of doctors and psychologists and mental health experts, and we talked about the psychology of the game. And the one thing that kept recurring in almost every one of those conversations was you need to get a win. And what I mean by that is when you're used to always winning, there's an adrenaline rush, right? There's serotonins and all these other types of things that keep you up and positive. The second you lose and now start losing, then you've never experienced that before. I don't know if it's dopamine. Hey, don't go Google which chemicals in your body they are. But that being said, is now your body needs a win.
Right.
Some players turn to drugs. Some turn to women. Some turn to gambling. Like there's different things that they turn to get. So I think part of this is he was feeling down. He's faced 4 Alabamas. I'm gonna
Did you see him in that press conference after they lost?
Yeah, he looked
like he looked like a 12-year-old boy who somebody just stole his bike.
I'm not surprised. He went out and said, "Hey, here's this young, attractive woman that finds me interesting or famous or whatever. I'm gonna get my win. I'm gonna get the attention, that and that's part of it too. That's probably something we need to talk about to players, to coaches, and whatever, because almost every bad decision comes with that.
Yeah,
right. Very, very rarely did there's some excessive celebrations too when you win, but mostly it's when you start to lose. So, and when there's all these coaches out there that had an opportunity, the Eric Enemies, the Todd Bowles, there's so many good coaches out there that aren't getting an opportunity, and here he is, and this is what he does with it. He was out of coaching. He was out of coaching for a reason. So I'm just
health problem. That was the problem, Tone. He had health problems from him being out of coaching. It wasn't because he was bad. It was because It was because he had health problems. However, when you're hiring somebody, especially for a high-profile job, you do your homework. These people do extensive homework. And Urban Meyer, being as qualified as he was for that job, fit the bill.
I get it. It was a young team. They wanted a college coach, made sense because they figured they could mold the young. It's going to be a young team, but it's a lot of bad decisions.
Local too, Tone. Don't leave that part out.
Yeah, that's fair.
He was local, so it just made sense initially. However, there are certain things when you are a professional, especially at this level, that you do not do. Now,
can I pause for a second? Can I pause you for a second? Because I want to ask you, sorry to interrupt, but I think this is important though. When you say they do their research though, there's been a laundry list of bad decisions and letting players get away with stuff. That's not a way you can't do that with grown men, with professionals in the NFL.
Well, the reason why you do that is because winning cures everything. And they feel like when the decision that we made to hire you, once you start winning, everybody will forget about all of this other stuff.
Right.
So you look at the Raiders, for example. Once the Raiders, they look like they're starting to do something, we're going to completely forget that John Gruden handed over probably the best linebacker in the game for a bucket of extra crispy and a 6-pack. Okay,
I tried to get him back at the beginning of this season.
Tried to get and winning cures everything. So it's the same idea when you're talking about bad behavior. Well, winning cures that. People will forget all about this, and they're banking on that. That's why this is something that they're talking about when they say, he has to regain our trust. He has to regain our respect. Well, I'm thinking to myself, what if this was Mike Tomlin? And he was in Jacksonville, not in Pittsburgh, but if he was in Jacksonville, what if this was Mike Tomlin? What if this was Hugh Jackson? How would that have gone over? How with these guys? I'm not saying that they would be fired, but
I am. I am.
Okay.
I'll say it. They get fired.
So and would it be over time, Tone, or would it be something where let's go? I need to talk.
No, it'd be let's go. It would be let's go. It would be if it happened on a Saturday or no, what day did it happen on? I don't even it happened on a Friday.
It was Thursday night, right after the game.
Yeah, the press conference that he just had would have been I'm stepping down.
So Monday.
Monday, yeah. That press conference where he was kind of apologized. No, that would have been I'm stepping down. They would have come to an agreement. I'm stepping down. I acted inappropriately, and I think it's best that I just step away. That's what would have happened.
See, and that's the thing that stirs my juices, because I'm thinking to myself, I can appreciate going into a season and having standards. However, I don't appreciate the double standard. I don't, man, and I do not appreciate this recycling of bad coaches and bad behavior. I just don't appreciate it. I don't, Tone. I don't like it at all.
I'm with you. I've done multiple shows on that. So that's enough on it. I think we've talked too much about Urban Meyer. Let's get somebody else in there. Because here's the thing. I think Jacksonville has a lot of, it still needs more, don't get me wrong, but I think it has a lot of the pieces to be a good team. Mm-hmm. It really does, right? They have a good young quarterback, whatever people are going to call him a bust, but come on, you're 4 games in, it's stop, right? So they've got a good young quarterback. They have a surprisingly really good young running back. They've got some, receivers. They've got pieces.
Yes, they do.
They just, I think they need to, they wanted to bring in a certain culture. I think they missed. So I think Google, I steal a lot of stuff from Google, and not like Google search. I mean, Google, like the company. No, but I mean like the company, like Alphabet, the Alphabet who owns Google. Mm-hmm. And I went to a conference at Google, and they taught me something that I always try to share with as many people as I can, because I think it's important. One, they're never afraid to fail. Failing is good, right? Failing means that you've tried, and in most cases, you're going to learn, right? When you fail, you learn, which is why I say when you succeed too much, it's not necessarily good. Right. So they also have this thing called failing quickly. And I'm sorry, it could be a quick story. So I went in and I said, give me an example, right? They're saying you want to fail quickly because it's important to try, because you never know. You might hit a grand slam if you try. And I said, well, give me an example. They said, here's an example. Here at Google, we hire the best of the best. Just think about it. If you're, an engineer, an IT person, a developer, a programmer, you want to work at Google. So they bring in the best of the best. So they said, hey, if we have all the best people, the smartest minds, they don't need managers. They don't need to be managed. They're the best of the best. They're the best people. So they eliminated all their manager, just got rid of them all. I moved them, did whatever. Within weeks, production, everything down the tubes. What happened? Well, just because they're great and smart and the best of the best, they still need a leader. They still need someone to point them in the right direction, because I know I'm pretty smart at certain things, but my head's like squirrel, and I'm over here, right? Well, most people are like that too. So they brought the managers back in very quickly and said, hey, we made a mistake. Here they are. And everything went back to normal. Mm-hmm. So I bring that story up to say, listen, you brought in this guy to do a certain thing, to build and mold, develop these young men into grown men, into professionals, and to put in a system in place. Didn't work. I know it's only 4 weeks, 5 weeks. It's not going to work. It's just one bad thing after another. Fail quick. Move on. I know it's going to cost you some money, but just for me, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that for every situation. Hey, they've lost, because I think a coach and a general manager need 3 to 5 years to really install kind of a culture, the type of players that they want. But if they're doing the right things and losing, I'm okay. I don't love it, but I'm okay. If they're doing the wrong things and losing, well, that's when you should fail quick.
Kind of like Stan Van Gundy in New Orleans, like, all right, we screwed this hire up. Let's get out of here.
Let's go. It's done. I'm okay with that. All right. So then there was one. Unless I'm missing something, I'm pretty sure I'm double checking, because I want to make sure that I don't miss out. Yep, there's one. There is one heading into week 5. There is one undefeated team in the NFL, and no surprise. It's the Arizona Cardinals. If I would have told you that, if I know I told you I think they're going to be better this year, you said, hey, we think they're going to be better this year. But if I told you the week 1, Arizona is going to be the sole undefeated team, would you have called me a little bit crazy?
No, I wouldn't have called you crazy, but I would have said, no, I don't think so. And the reason why I don't think so is because I know who Arizona is, and then I know the division that they're in, which is arguably the toughest division in football. And this is the same division that they finished in last place last year. So there's no way for me to think that the division actually got better this year with Russ, with Seattle getting better, with the 49ers having Jimmy G back. They got better. The Rams looking like they're going to the bowl game. Why would I think that Arizona will go to the top of the NFC West? Even though I'm pretty sure I said this to you before the season started, that I would be surprised if Kyler Murray led the league in touchdowns.
Yeah, you did.
I did say that because I'm thinking about what he had with Hopkins and getting AJ Green and how they look on the edge. All right, so I did not think that they would be in first place. I didn't think that defense would be as good as they would. I didn't think that they would go into Los Angeles and stomp them the way they did.
I thought, when I look back, I thought that's the Arizona loss is to the Rams, and the Rams would come into that game with one loss already from the Bucks, and
Right.
it turned out completely, obviously, the opposite of that.
So we got a ball game tonight, Tone, which is another division rival in Seattle, who you said this to me numerous times. You know, Seattle could go 6-0. As soon as they see Arizona, they lose by 2 touchdowns. I don't know why, but I don't know what it is about Arizona, but Arizona owns them because it's the same thing with Seattle and the 49ers. Russ owns us. Arizona owns Seattle. So if I'm looking at this game tonight and I'm looking at Arizona's front five, you know, they do a really good job of protecting Kyler. Kyler does a really good job of scrambling, at making good reads. That offense is humming. And I have
Tonight's the Rams and Seahawks.
Right. Who did I say?
Arizona? I thought you said Arizona. Yeah, you were saying Arizona. I know you meant the Rams, but
right.
Yeah.
I'm looking at that offense, and there's no reason for me to think that not just Arizona, but back to the Rams and the Seahawks. I think the Rams bounce back tonight. I absolutely think they bounce. And I think that they handle Seattle. No question about that. I think that they handle Seattle with that defense that they have. I think they want to redeem themselves from how they got handled on Sunday by Arizona. I absolutely think that. I don't think anybody had Arizona going in there, once again, Tone, and stomping them the way that they did. I did not have that happen. And the way they ran the football on them and the way they completely just controlled the offense. I don't think that at any point in that game that you thought, because I didn't think that Arizona did not have control of that game at any point.
So let me ask you this then, because obviously Seattle actually needs this game, right? At 2-2, they can't afford to drop below 500 in that division, right. and they can't afford to lose to the Rams a division game.
Correct.
But is Arizona that good that they put 37 on that Rams defense, or should we be concerned about the Rams defense because they don't look, they're not as advertised. And a stat that I want to put out there, just so you know, because they have Super Bowl aspirations, mm-hmm. right? And someone asked me, Washington or LA, which one is the most disappointing defense? And I said, it's LA because Washington, look, we didn't expect anything from Washington. The Rams are expected to, contend for a Super Bowl. And there hasn't been a Super Bowl winning team in the last, I think it's 7 or 10 years that hasn't finished in the top 10 in defensive scoring. And right now the Rams are near the bottom in almost every statistic, or at best middle of the pack. So does the Rams defense scare you, or do you think it's just they need time to come around?
Well, I don't think that they need time to come around because they've been together for a while with Aaron Donald. I think that secondary with Jalen Ramsey, I think they're a little overrated. I do think, especially after what I saw this Sunday with Kyler Murray picking them apart. And what I saw with Tom Brady, I don't know what it is about the Rams, but they just have their number. They had the Bucs number, and I think that they did a really good job. But either that was an anomaly, what I saw last Sunday, or maybe that Rams secondary is a little overrated. Because
or are the Cardinals just that? Or maybe we're wrong. Maybe are the Cardinals just that good?
I think it's a combination of both, Tone. I think that the Cardinals are that good, and I think that they're going to continue to be that good with AJ Green and with DeAndre Hopkins on the edges. And I also think that Kyler Murray did a really good job using his tight end too. So they had a lot of mismatch problems. They had a lot of problems. They had a lot of mismatch problems getting linebackers matched up with tight ends. That was also a problem. But the long ball is what killed them. Mm-hmm. And not only that, their pass rush was really suspect as well. I mean, Kyler Murray, it's hard to keep him in the pocket, or it's hard to keep him in front of you. But I mean, he had 3rd and 16, and he's running for 20 yards. He's got 3rd and 8, and he's picking these guys apart. So I think that it was a combination of both, Tom. Maybe that secondary is a little overrated, and maybe Arizona is a lot better than what we give them credit for.
It's early, but do you think Arizona can keep this up the right? Like, do they win the division? Do you think obviously they've got the best chance because they've got the best record heading into week 5, but do you think they keep it up or
Well,
do they come back down to earth a little bit?
well, I'll tell you what, Tone. This is around the time week 4, week 5. This is when we find out who teams actually are. I mean, you'll see a team in week 1, you'll see a team in week 2, and yeah, that's fine. But after the first month, you start to find out, all right, who is this team? And Arizona is AJ Green, DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray. That's their offense. And they got a really good running game. So we know who they are. I have no reason to believe that they can't keep this up. Now, I don't know if they're gonna go undefeated.
No.
I have no reason to believe that they can't keep this up because there looks like there's a level of consistency with what they're doing. All right. So when you look at that division, I'm looking at the Rams, and it looks like there's a level of consistency of what they're doing on offense. They're doing the same thing. So we kind of figured out who they are. With the 49ers, we still, if Jimmy G, he went down again. So we don't know if he's going to stay healthy. So there's a level of inconsistency there. Same thing with Seattle. You know, one week they look great, and then they go into Indianapolis, and it's a little tricky. But when you talk about that Arizona team, there's a level of consistency there, Tone, and I think that they're starting to fill out and become who they are. So I wouldn't be surprised if they finished at the top of this division. And I'm not saying, well, I know it's early. Well, this is the time when these teams start to fill out.
Yeah, it's funny. I always say this, and people kind of give me this side look, and I'm like, look, you don't have to be the best at any one thing, but if you can be consistently good offensively, defensively, special teams, you're going to win more games than you lose because just look at the Saints. I don't even know what I feel like they roll out a different team every week because it's literally night and day from week to week what you're going to get from the Saints. Mm-hmm. But I want to flip to the team. So that's the one undefeated team. Mm-hmm. We already talked about one team that has 0 losses, so we're not going to talk about the Jags anymore. Mm-hmm. But the other team that's undefeated, and we talked about this at the beginning of the year, is the Detroit Lions. Not a surprise to me. I told you I didn't like the head coach hire. Mm-hmm. I didn't like I didn't like anything they did in the offseason, to be honest. Nothing. I liked nothing that the Lions did in the offseason. And now you've got this head coach, right? Remember we talked about he's all flamboyant. He wants to bring out a lion. His name tag on his office says the man. When you don't win, that stuff doesn't fly, right? Do you see could there be more than one coach fired mid-season? Or do they give him the year?
I think they give him the benefit of the doubt, even though it is a little weird watching him, because you got a team that they look like they run out of gas a lot. I mean, they look good early. I watched them against Detroit on Monday night, against Green Bay on Monday Night Football. Jared Goff looks really good. And that offense looked like it was humming early. But then you get into the middle of the third quarter, passes start getting dropped, routes don't get ran as crisp, and they start to look like they run out of gas. And that's kind of and I think that has a lot to do with coaching. I don't think it's the athlete more than it is coaching. And
well, it was the 49ers game that week 1. They came out really slow, right. and then they took off. And then since then, you're right, it's been nice starts, and then
yeah, they look like they just run out of gas. And I'm not going to say that he's going to get fired, Tone, because recycling these coaches like this, you do have to give them, especially if there's no bad behavior.
But let me say this though, this coach wasn't brought in by the GM. This was another weird one, right? They hired the coach first, and then brought in the GM,
which is even worse.
So now it's not his guy. Yeah. So everyone was patting themselves on the back for, hey, we hired minority GM. Yeah, but you didn't give him. Yeah. You didn't let him bring in his own people. Right. So what power did you give this GM? And I know, I'm sorry, I don't mean to make this about that, but have you ever known a head coach to get hired and then the GM?
No, I haven't heard that.
And then when the coach doesn't win, mm-hmm. what's the GM? Listen, if I'm the GM, I'm going to say, well, that's not my guy. That's not my guy.
The last time I remember that was I think it was the 19 season when Rob Pelinka got the job. Luke Walton was not his guy.
Right.
He was there, but he was not his guy. And Magic made that clear that he really wasn't feeling this coaching hire. He made that clear, which ultimately meant Walton was out. So when you're in a position where I'm the general manager, and I already got the job. But they just now it'd be different, Tone, if this guy had been there for 4 or 5 years. Well, he just got the job too. So
Right.
because he just got the job too, there is a level, or there is a way to get out of this. There is a margin of error here where we don't have to hold on to this guy as opposed to him being there 4 or 5 years and they went to the playoffs 4 or 5 times. And now it might look a little tricky getting rid of this guy. Well, he just got the job. Well, I just got the job too. So he does have a year, maybe 2. If the Detroit Lions end up 2-15 or 1-16, and then next year we're looking at the same thing, I doubt very seriously that he'll still be.
Okay. So let's look at a couple of these games. Is there any, obviously tonight, Rams and Seahawks, I think is a big one. And I really think it's, rarely do you say it's a big one for both of them. But again, it is, right? The Rams coming off a division loss to the Cardinals, and the Seahawks, again, you can't drop to 2-3 in that division. You need to win that. So I think that's going to be a big one. The surprising, not to you though, the surprising Cincinnati Bengals versus the Packers. We're going to do rapid fire on them.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get your pick and then I'll say mine. You got Packers or Bengals in this one?
I like Cincy, Tone. I like what they're doing.
I think I think you're nuts. I think the Packers blow them out. Okay. So we'll see. We got my Bears and the Raiders.
Well, we finally got a quarterback in there, and we got that figured out. But I think that the Raiders handled them.
I think you're nuts. I'm going with my Bears. I'm always picking my Bears. I know the only way I would never get that wrong is if the Bears go 16-0. All right, Jets and Falcons. No, we're skipping that one. Lions and Vikings. We're skipping that one. Broncos and Steelers. Man, Steelers look good in week 1, right? They beat Buffalo, and now they're back to what you said they were gonna be.
Tone, if I told you this morning when we got on here, Tone, I just heard that Ben Roethlisberger said he's going to retire. How would that make you feel?
I would be happy for him because I think he should have retired before the season started.
I think he's washed. I do. I do think he's washed, and I think that they're wasting their time. Teddy Bridgewater. The reason why that game last week against Baltimore was the way it was because Teddy Bridgewater didn't play in the second half. I think Denver handles Pittsburgh this weekend.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I hate to put him into this position. And I know you don't like this, but I still think they need to move on from Ben. And look, it's too late. Look, you're not going to get anybody right now, but bring in Cam. Just bring in Cam. He can do the things that Ben can do, but his arm still works, right? And just get through this season, because even if they get average quarterback play, right, they've got enough offensive tools and they're good enough on defense that at least they can win some games. Yeah. Because here's what's going to happen. And I get it, Pittsburgh, unless you have 3 losing seasons, you don't get fired as the head coach.
Correct.
But if you are the head coach of this team and you let Ben lead you to a losing record, you make a horrible hire. I'm going to say this a million times with Matt Canada, great name, by the way, but terrible offensive coordinator. They're going to hold you responsible. Even the Rooneys, even that Pittsburgh, it might just be time for them to bring in a new young quarterback and bring in a new head coach. It might be their 4th head coach.
What have you told me, Tom? 3 coaches in 60 years?
Three coaches in the history of their existence. And both of the first 2 only got fired after 3 consecutive losing seasons.
That's it.
So last year, were they 8-8 last year? Or they were 8? So I don't know, maybe they count that as a losing season.
Well,
this year.
They did make the playoffs, so.
Hey, Lovie Smith was 10-6 and got fired, so there's no reason why Matt.
Which is ridiculous.
I'm still mad about that one. Although I am loving that big white beard he's got going on. Unfortunately, he's in Houston, but I love the beard. I might try to grow mine out because it's getting just as white.
Coach Smith.
So I think we both got the Broncos on that one. Dolphins and Bucks. I'm skipping that one. Saints and Washington. 2-2 teams. The Saints you don't know what you're going to get week to week. Washington, honestly, even at 2-2, have really underperformed. I get it. They lost Ryan Fitzpatrick, but the defense is more of my concern. I thought they were supposed to be a top-ranked defense.
Well, Heineke doesn't look that bad, Tony.
No, that's what I mean.
Heineke doesn't look that bad, but that defense absolutely has underperformed with Sweat and that defense just doesn't. They're not very good against the run. They're not very good against the pass. I just thought they were going to be a lot better than what they were. I wouldn't be. I think that New Orleans handles them this weekend. I do.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think a big day from Jameis Winston. If you're for your fantasy players. All right, Eagles and Panthers. I thought the Eagles didn't they surprise us? This is why I don't trust week one. The Eagles were, hey, wow, they look great. 1-3. And the Panthers finally lost their game. They have a bounce back game, you think, against the Eagles?
And bringing in Stephon Gilmore, they got him, and that's going to be a big deal for them because now he replaces J.C. Horn, and I think they get back on track defensively.
What's going on? The Patriots are going to cut Stephon Gilmore, and then all of a sudden it's a trade to the Panthers. The Cowboys release their kind of star linebacker. What's going on here?
That's a good question, Tone. Well, I think that was a money thing with Smith. I mean, he was owed $9 million for next season. Not only was he owed $9 million, his production is going down, and they've already gotten a guy in Micah Parsons who's going to take his place for cheaper. I mean, he's on a rook deal. Yeah, he's on a rook deal. So because he's on a rook deal and we got him for cheaper, we can get better production. That's just smart business. Yeah. I don't think that's anything else but that.
We forget sometimes it's a business.
We are running.
Every time you scratch your head, I always just remind people it's a business.
We are running a business here.
Yeah. All right. Titans. So, well, we both got the Panthers then on that one. Yeah. Okay. Titans, Jags. You've already said the Titans. I'm with you. I don't think the Jags. I think the Jags want to lose. I think the players want to lose. They want to get him fired. Look, where there's smoke, there's fire, man. We're hearing reports from players that they don't like Urban Meyer, and I'm with them. I'm sorry. I hate to say it. I'm going to get hate from Florida, I guess, but
no, you're not. You're not, Tone. I mean, when you lose the respect of your group, you lose the team, and you've already made it clear they've lost them. He's lost them. So it's going to be really difficult to get them back. Very difficult to get them back.
I'm expecting the Patriots to put like 40 on the Texans this week, because they're just they need to come out strong. And I don't think because Bill Belichick, look, they played well against the Bucs. Like they played well. Granted, the 56-yard field goal. Hey, they were in position to beat the Bucs, which I think would have made Bill Belichick very happy. He went into the Tampa Bay locker room after the game, apparently had a very long conversation because it was an awkward hug with him and Brady to start the game. So there's clearly some issues they need to resolve, but that's personal. So I'm going to leave that alone. Yeah. But I think the Texans look, if this isn't your get right game, you're in trouble.
I think that New England, when I look at that group, and I know that, a lot of people have been real critical of what Bill Belichick has done. I think they got their quarterback in Mac Jones. It's just now a matter of building around him, building around what they're doing. And when I watch Houston, they got a revolving door at quarterback, and their running back situation is tricky. They got actually a solid defense, but I think that New England handles them.
And I feel bad because Cully, Lovey, like these are really good guys and they're good coaches. And unfortunately, they've got just a mess down there that they inherited. Let's be honest. Like if you look at the trades that O'Brien was making, it's just you scratch your head. Even the casual NFL fans like, what is he doing? And it was. Yeah, there's a joke. He was trying to get fired so he could go to New England or something like that. This is probably the right thing to do. Right. Browns and Chargers all of a sudden becomes a battle for the best in the AFC.
That should be a good one. Now I'll tell you what, Tone. A lot of people are looking at what Cleveland is doing in terms of defensively. Baker's got to play better as a quarterback. He's got a 39 QBR, Tone, going into this game. 39. Now I know.
You know who's not surprised?
We already know this. The Tone is the guy who I'm talking to him now about. Me and my girlfriend aren't having. We having problems, and he's looking at me like, "What did I tell you before the relationship started? Did I not tell you how I felt about her?" Yes,
I didn't trust her. I didn't trust.
He told me right from the beginning where he was with her, and sure enough, here we are. Baker's got a 39 QBR, and he may very well be the one who could possibly sink them. So he's got to play better. He has to play better. And I've said this to you in the past, Tone. I just got this him and ODB. This thing is just not working. It's just not. So I think the Chargers handle Cleveland. I do.
I said it a million times, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse here. But I told you, they've got the defense, they've got the skilled positions, they've got everything. What they don't have is a quarterback. And everyone in Cleveland wants to fight me on this, but they don't have a quarterback. I'm sorry, he's not the guy. He's not. So yeah, I have the Chargers. I love Justin Herbert. I think you kind of opened my. Always thought he was good, but you made me watch him more. I really like what he does. So I am a fan of the Chargers. Giants and Cowboys. Man, the Giants have really, really underperformed. Do they have any shot of slowing down this Cowboys offense?
Yeah, like, they do. They actually do because look at what the Giants have been doing defensively, and they're not terrible. They are not terrible. And you got your quarterback in Daniel Jones. You have your guy in Daniel Jones. The problem is this team needs to be coached better. I think he did a better job last weekend against the Saints. I think he did a better job. The same thing has to happen. Now that Cowboys.
But hold on. He did a better job, or it's a lot easier to win when your defense plays well and Saquon Barkley's running the ball.
Well,
it sure helped, right?
That is absolutely the difference. And he has to get Saquon the ball. He has to coach that defense. They looked more disciplined last week as opposed to what I had seen in weeks past. So he has done a better job in that. And he's going to have to do the same thing next weekend. This weekend coming up when they got the Cowboys in there, because that offense is humming.
Who you got?
I'm going to take the Giants.
I think you're nuts. I'm going with the Cowboys. All right. This is good. I think I'm picking against you on every game. 40. I know who you're going to pick here, but do the Cardinals take their first loss against the 49ers this week?
We beating them this weekend, Tom.
I knew you were going to pick that. I'm going to stick with Arizona. Only because I knew you were going to pick the Niners, but I'm going to roll with Arizona. Listen, until they lose, I'm picking them to win. Yeah. This might be the game that I try to watch as much of every game as possible, but this might be the one that I sit and watch every snap. The Bills and Chiefs were my preseason pick to be in the AFC Championship game. Mm-hmm. Now I know the Chiefs are 2-2. But I think there's that little bit of that Super Bowl kind of lag there. I'm not worried about them at all. I think they're going to be just fine. I think it might even be too early for the get right game because the Bills look fantastic. I think the Bills win. But this is the game I'm going to sit and watch because you might see one of those. Remember those Drew Brees? I forget who they were playing, but one of those Drew 52, 51 games
against the Giants.
It's just the Giants. Yes, it was Eli and Drew Brees, right? Yeah.
What beat 7 touchdowns? 8. That's what beat 7 touchdowns. 8. So now I know where you at with this, Tone. I just want to put something on your mind real quick. The Kansas City Chiefs, as of right now, they are ranked 31st in defense. All right. I know you want to roll your eyes at that.
No, I'm saying I know.
Over the last 10 years, a team that was at the bottom of the league in defense, all 10 of those teams did not make the playoffs. Now, if I said to you in week 1, hey, Tom, I got $1,000. Kansas City's not making the playoffs this year. You would have said, I see your 1,000 and I'll raise you.
Yeah, I was going to say I'd probably be paying you like 5 and I'd be really upset about it too. I'm glad no one came to me with that bet because I would have been like, sucker. Do you got Bills Chiefs?
I think Buffalo we're talking about a team. Yeah. So the 4 games, 2 of those games, they shut those 2 teams out. Now I know it was Houston and I know it was Miami, but I think that Buffalo team, I think they handle Kansas City this weekend. Yes,
do you think Josh Gordon does he get on the field this week? They put him on the active roster. You think
I do think that he gets on the field. He might have a series, maybe 2 series, but I don't think he does much for them.
Because I think the Bills are going to do. They're going to sit back on Tyreek Hill, and they're going to make McCole Hardman and others beat them. To Travis Kelce underneath is. Yeah.
Well, that's the recipe for beating Kansas City. You got to slow down Tyreek Hill. If you could slow him down and keep Patrick Mahomes throwing underneath as opposed to over the top, you can slow down Kansas City.
Yeah.
If Patrick Mahomes is going over the top and he's just throwing 9 routes to Tyreek Hill all day, forget it. You got no shot.
Monday night, the Colts, the Ravens.
I'm going with Baltimore. I think that they roll in.
It's an easy one, right?
I would be, to be honest with you, somebody put this on my mind, Tone. Is Lamar Jackson the league MVP?
He's in the conversation. He's in the conversation because he's doing. Remember, I told you. I said Baltimore wins the AFC North, and you picked Cleveland, and I said I don't trust Baker, and I said I think with what's happened with the injuries that Lamar Jackson's going to have another MVP type season because he's going to have to carry them. I think that's what's happening, and I think he's becoming more confident throwing the ball week after week after week. I still am a little nervous, like he's running the ball a little too much. That scares me because but he hasn't gotten. If he stays healthy, yeah.
I think they Jacksonville without him, Tone.
I wouldn't go that far.
There's Jacksonville without him. I think they Detroit without him. I look at that Baltimore team. I think that they're Jacksonville or Detroit without him. They are garbage.
I'm thinking maybe like a 1-win team. I don't know, maybe not a 0-win team, but yeah. So, and listen, I can't argue with that. It's early, but he's playing like the MVP, and he's doing everything for that team, and he's picking up the slack. They lost their running backs. He's in. I forget where he ranks, but he's in. I know the top 5, top 10 in rushing yards. Like it's a quarterback. That's a quarterback.
He led them in rushing last year.
Yeah, it's so again. Yeah, I'm really I'm high on the Ravens, so I think this is a blowout as well. Mm-hmm. All right, so that's it for this week of Fluent and Chill, the NFL edition. Make sure to follow, comment, like, share. Check us out Mondays at 8 p.m. on TikTok, and then we're here every Wednesday and Friday. Until next week.
Take it light.